Everybody. Good morning. It is. What is it? I've lost the plot. Good morning. It is Thursday. It's got to be the 8th of July. Am I right, Chris?
You are right.
Sorry. We've had little glitches, everybody. You might have been trying to get in. We've been trying to get in. It looks like it's working now. So, but we've had a few little, what they call technical glitches. So anyway, here we are. And I think we're only maybe a minute late, or maybe 2 minutes late. So good morning, good morning, good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who as always is standing to my right side here. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Good morning, everyone.
And where are you? Are you still feeding the cows, milking the sheep, getting the eggs from the pigs? Whatever that is.
Yes, I am. I'm a little bit outside of Las Vegas.
I'm sorry. Where did you say you were?
I'm in a little town called Overton outside of Las Vegas, about an hour outside.
It sounds amazing. It sounds fantastic. And all those beautiful little creatures. I bet it's a little bit like there's a great show in England. It's called All Creatures Great and Small. There was a man, his pseudonym, I think. I don't think it's his proper name, but anyway, James Herriot. Everybody in England knows who James Herriot is, who wrote many books actually. He was a vet and he wrote books about the veterinary things, and now they do a TV show in England which is based out of his old veterinary clinic, I think, James Herriot's old clinic, and they're carrying on the tradition of North Yorkshire veterinary stuff, including and involving cows, sheep, pigs, ducks, you name it, even swans. And they also do these very odd little creatures that people have as pets. There was an iguana on the show a few weeks ago. I watched the show with my grandson Reese because he loves it, and we love to see, you know, all the dogs, all the puppies. We like to even see the surgeries. It's a great show. Anyway, that's where you are, right, Chris? You're right in the heart of the equivalent of our Yorkshire moors. Not quite the moors, because are you in the mountains? What's going on there?
Yeah, it's very desert-like. We are surrounded by kind of like red rock mountains.
Nice. Very nice.
A lot of sagebrush and mesquite trees, that sort of thing.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. I love that kind of thing. I really do. But you're on would you call it a farm? Because I think in England we call it a small holding. But would you call it a farm that you're actually on?
They do call it a farm, yes.
Okay. So describe some of the animals that you've got there.
Miniature donkeys. 3 different types of horses. One's an Arabian horse, one's a Belgian draft, and one is, oh my goodness, what is Orion? I forget what Orion's is. He's got like long wispy tails and
so
the same.
But there are 3 horses, just 3 horses.
Exactly, and then all different kinds of chickens and a rooster, a couple of Dalmatians, a couple of cats. I see a lot of wild rabbit around. My sister saw a snake out there the other day. I see when we're sitting outside chipmunks and gophers. Wow. A lot of different birds because the trees are around this property, you know, where they're not around the surrounding area.
It's almost the opposite of Vermont, where you've lived for a long time, right? But it's almost the opposite because Vermont is so green and leafy and rainy, and you're in the middle of the desert where you probably don't have much rain, and it's very dry and sandy, and those incredible red rocks that they have out there always make me sort of gasp when I see them, because they're just incredible how they rise up out of the ground from seemingly nowhere. But it's like an opposite climate, right?
Exact opposite.
But are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying it. my sister and her husband are fantastic to me here. They're really taking good care of me and keeping me busy, which is what I need to be. And it's just I don't get time with them much, so it's been great.
Good. And of course, Mike's there too, right?
I certainly hope so.
Oh, we know that he is, because we did have a conversation the other day about the pool, right?
That was hilarious.
Do you want to tell us that story?
Well, you were talking with Mike and I, and he'd mentioned sort of oh, by the way, there's a light out by the pool. And I was thinking he meant in the pool, because at that point I hadn't been here long enough to notice they had just put in a pool here, and they were building a pool shed for their furniture because they do get high winds out here sometimes. And both the lights were on in the pool. And Mike said, one of the lights is out by the pool. So my brother-in-law, Wally, went out the next morning to sort of check the job that these guys were doing. They'd been putting up sheetrock and wiring and all, and there were no lights on in the pool shed. So he went to the breaker box and he flicked it, and he went back and inside, and sure enough, only one of the ceiling lights was on. So we were all laughing really hard.
I think that was just Mike's way of saying to you, don't think you've gone there without me. So
yeah, that's fantastic.
Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I do see that we have some people on and around. So why don't we start with questions and comments, Chris?
Absolutely. So there's a whole bunch of hellos from people: Carmen and Cheryl, Wanda, Eric. And Eric says he's just made his move. He's exhausted, but he's happy that's done. The first question is from Lori. Lori's asking, can you see any prospects of full-time work coming to me in the near future? I was laid off over a year ago.
Well, let me just tell you a little bit about my week, and then you'll understand why I'm not going to be answering any of those questions. I have been to the dentist, and as I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you all and I'm smiling away, I've got a really nasty infection in my gums here. So even though I'm smiling away, I have a little bit of pain. So there's no way I'm going to be even thinking about doing anything other than focusing on what we're doing here today and trying to answer questions and trying to do what we need to do. But if anybody out there is wondering why you haven't seen us, because we did promise a few days ago that we would be doing our off the cuff stuff. Well, I'm afraid I was lying down with all day yesterday, actually, just throwing pain pills in me. And those of you who know me really well know that I do not take medications of any kind ever. So for me to actually reach for the Tylenol, and then to reach for Tylenol and Advil cocktail, which was an advice given to me until the antibiotics start working. It is a good cocktail, but I loathe putting medicines of any kind, of any description, in my body. So I'm much more of a taking natural stuff. So, but when people get to my age, which is over 50, I'm laughing really. Anyway, when people get to a certain age, it would seem that when a doctor or a dentist or somebody says to you, and what medications are you taking, and then they give you a form listing all of the possible medications you could be taking, and then I say I don't take any, and there are raised eyebrows because people don't actually necessarily believe that I actually don't take medications. But I think in my lifetime, especially when I was younger, the medications that I had to deal with and the medicines and the doctors and so on put me totally off. So if I ever say to any of my friends, I've just taken a couple of Tylenol, they know there's something wrong with me, right, Chris?
Absolutely. I think the fact that you're even on today is a miracle. So,
Oh, wow. I don't know about that. I'm good. I'm not sure how long I'm going to last, but I'm good. Uh, I think, well, everything is about attitude, isn't it? It's all about attitude, and it's all about, sort of not giving in. Sometimes you do have to give in to what's going on with you, and sometimes you do have to take those medications. And I am not advocating that people don't take medication. So please don't think that I'm saying to any of you out there with medication, stop taking it, because I am not. If it were not for the medical profession, I would not be here. I would have been long gone, way back, in my 20s. I would have been gone. So I appreciate the medical profession, but I think that it's far too easy to start to take drugs, to start to take pain medicines and so on. And I think there are other things that we can try before we try those things. So anyway, so unfortunately, if anybody's got any questions about can I see anything or can I do anything, the answer is no. But if they are simple questions about the spirit world or how things work or what have you, Chris, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to leave it.
I've already plugged it into the chat room saying come to us with some generalized questions. That would be
Great.
fantastic.
So that seems good to me. So all right.
So there are a number of people, Rosemary, already, sending you healing and saying so sorry for your pain and hope you feel better soon.
Okay, so thank you so much, but let's not visit that because it's bad enough to have it. And although I do appreciate you all and sending all of that lovely healing, and I'll take as much as you've got to give me, so please send all of that to me. That's fine, but it's not a dire situation, everybody. It is fixable, and so we just have to get it to the point where it can be fixable. So let's see what everybody else has been up to. Let's hear other people's stories, shall we, Chris?
Yeah, well, Cheryl's asking, are there any power spots on this planet and how are they best used?
Oh, I love that question, Cheryl. Yes, we just were talking about the red rocks. There are certain places in the world that have energy. It's about energy, really. When you're talking about power spots, it's about energy. And there are certain places in the world that have much stronger and much more powerful energy than others. And it reminds me of the story. I think I told it recently in story time when I went into the pyramids, one of the pyramids, the largest pyramid in Giza, just outside of Cairo in Egypt. And I went into the pyramid and went right into the center of the pyramid to where the sarcophagus, which is it's like a concrete thing, really. It's like the tomb that one of the pharaohs was in. I can't think which king it was right now, but anyway, you can look it up on Google. The largest pyramid at Giza. Who did it house? Of course, there was nobody in there when I went in there, and the whole experience was a little bit disappointing till I was coming out, and just before I came out, and I was at the entrance to come out of the pyramid when I said to Grey Eagle, well, that was a bit disappointing. What was that all about? And he gave me the power sign. We've got that fabulous black power sign that people use, the fist meaning power. And he gave me the power sign. And it was that night that I had my first conscious awareness, full awareness of what it's like to be out of your body. So I had my first truly aware out of body experience, which was amazing. Yes, there are so many spots around the world there was a second part to that question. I can't remember now what it was. Where can we find them, or what can we do with them? Something like that, I think it was. Can you
search, how are
sorry.
they best used?
How are they best used? Well, you first of all, you have to find them. But there are certain, I'm trying to think, in Machu Picchu, there's a certain spot that people go to. There are certain spots, some are very well known and some are not so well known. The Druid circles in England, there are lots of places. And if you go to these places and you have, either with me or with somebody else, you've either done your meditations or you know what it is that you're doing, creating energy, building energy, forming energy within your own self, you can actually tie into the energy of those power spots and have some amazing experiences. There are lots of places in the world. Also, I'm trying to think, the place at Lourdes in France or wherever it is, where there are healing waters. There are places in New Zealand where there are these amazing bubbling waters. What do they call them? I'm trying to think what they call them now. I've forgotten what they call them. But there are
Springs?
There are all of these hot springs that you find. New Zealand's famous for them, but you can find them in different parts of the world. And in England, in the city of Bath, people used to travel in Victorian times, and I think they still do now. But in Victorian times, it was very fashionable for people to go to walk in the baths and to drink the waters, the waters are very sulfury tasting, really nasty. But the claims that people had that they were healing waters, and so lots of different types of energy, lots of different places that you can go. There are certain countries that you get off of a plane, you get off the plane and you stand and you're in a foreign country. And I've been all over the world. I haven't been to every country in the world, but I've been to so many countries in the world. I've been so fortunate. And there are times when you can literally, as you get off of the plane, you can literally feel something special. You can literally feel the something, the energy, the movement of the air, or you can feel the power under your feet as you're walking. And it's an amazing thing that you can feel that sometimes. So yes, how do you use them? Wisely is how you use them. Chris.
The next question is from Shamanth, saying, I wish to become a channel or a medium. So they're looking for advice.
I would. There's a difference between. Is there a difference? I have to think. There's a difference between a channeler and a medium, first of all. So which is it you want to be? And if you don't know the difference, you need to find out the difference before you decide, and make sure that you know what it is that you actually want to be before you say, I want to be it. When I first came to America, and actually, no, it was even before then, when I was in Hong Kong. Coming from America, though, people coming from America, there were a few different places, a few different centers, let's say spiritual centers that you could go to, and it was the first time I encountered the word channeler, and there were so many people who were channelers, and I was a bit confused, really. People who channel, and they think, or they do channel some entity in the spirit world. You could say that I'm a channeler because some people might think that I channel Grey Eagle, or does he channel me, whichever way it is. But we don't channel. We don't do that. We're not about doing that. A medium is someone who talks, who has a conversation with people who have passed into the spirit world. A spirit guide is somebody who will help that medium to connect with and to understand sometimes what is being said. And also, part of the job of a spirit guide is to help those in the spirit world to be able to do this clearly. If someone is very nervous, for instance, and we try to help them to get over their nervousness. If somebody is afraid or somebody wants to say something but is not sure how they're going to be received, and there are lots of different ways a medium will work. Not all mediums use spirit guides, by the way. I'm lucky that I've got Greg with me. So before you decide what it is, do I want to be a channel or a medium? Are you thinking it's the same thing? Because if you're thinking it's the same thing, it is not. And I would also advise anybody who wants to do this to not do it. Why? Because it is an incredibly sensitive gift, which comes with an enormous, I cannot stress the enormous amount of responsibility. What we do is we touch people's hearts, we change people's lives. Do you really ask yourself this question? Do you really want to be responsible for that? So I would rather discourage people. I would rather say to people, if you have this gift or if you want to work at this, that's one thing. If you have the gift, that's a whole different thing. But I don't believe that it's something that you can necessarily learn. I think you can get better at it if you have the gift, but I don't think it's something that you can learn. But if you want to be in this work, then I'm going to suggest that healing should be your path, and healing should be your way to exploring who you are, your spiritual self, and what your role here is on this earth as far as your spiritual journey is concerned. So I would advise healing. Chris.
Claire is wondering, is it possible to not feel a family member who's moved on?
Yes. Hi, good morning, Claire. It is possible. That doesn't mean that they're not there. It just simply means that for whatever reason, you might not feel them. Now, it could simply be that they have moved on. They've no intention of connecting with anyone in this family ever again, and they've moved on to, let's say, greener pastures. They're doing other things. It could be that. It's very unlikely that it's that. It's more likely that it has to do with us, because we're not always sensitive to these things, are we? We're not always aware of these things. Sometimes there's so much that's going on in our own lives, disturbing our energy, disrupting our energy, sort of putting a block on our energy even, that we're not even aware that someone in the spirit world is tapping us on the shoulder. Which is why I think it's always a good thing that people should, spend 10 minutes every day just sitting quietly, not speaking, trying to get your mind blank, and don't ask any questions. Just say to your family, I'm here. If you want to join me, it's fine. If you don't, it's also fine. Give it 10 minutes, listen, look, make yourself aware. If you do it every day, if you continue to do it and you make it a habit, sooner or later, those people in the spirit world will be able to get through to you. Because what you're doing is, it's not that they're not there for you. It's that you're not open enough for whatever reason it is. You might be open to one person in the spirit world, but you might not be so open to another person in the spirit world. Remember, everything is about energy. And when we're connecting with the spirit world, it's a bit like telephone lines. It's like, we don't always, get the right wavelength. In order to get the right wavelength, in order to feel someone, in order to sense someone around you, you've got to do this. And sometimes doing this takes a little bit of time, a little bit of energy, a little bit of thought, a little bit of faith, a little bit of trust. Because if that person in the spirit world loves you, and you have no doubt that they love you, and if you love them and you have no doubt that you love them, sooner or later, if you give them the opportunity, which means being quiet, sooner or later they will connect with you. I love this question, Claire. I love the fact that you're asking this question. So my advice to you is just be patient, my darling, and give it a chance. Chris.
Renita says, hello, well wishes to you.
Hi,
I have
Renita.
recently sent you a message after discovering your contact information in a decades-old black book.
Oh,
I'm thinking there is a reason for this. I know you aren't looking for general questions, but I have
we are
so many
looking for
questions
general
of those
questions.
I've lost.
Okay. Well, if you have sent us a message, we're hoping that you sent us a message via email. And if you have not, if any of you out there have sent an email recently and you have not, I've got all that stuff up again, Chris, all the info.
I think you got to
up.
find that X again, Rosemary.
It's disappeared on
They're
me.
giving us an update to the technology issues this morning.
Yes, so if you have sent us an email in the last few days or the last week or two, we've been just a little bit fraught in the office one way or another. If you have not received a message, try emailing us again. And if you still not got, be patient with us because Chris is away. She's on vacation, so she's the one who deals with all of the emails. Send her another email, Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com. And if you're having trouble, you can go to our website and let us know via the website, or go to our Facebook page and let us know via Facebook. But Chris is brilliant at this, and she does actually respond to your emails, really, actually, quite quickly. So just remember, I've been laid on the sofa. I'm doing nothing. I've been laid on the sofa. Chris is having fun with her animals. I know that she's checking into the emails, and I know she's replying to them as much as she can. But if you haven't heard back from us by next week, email us again. Don't give up on us because we do reply to every email that is sent to us.
Rosemary, if I'm reading this correctly, and I have seen the email, the question is more about why am I suddenly discovering your contact information? Is there a meaning behind that? I know many people have said that through emails over the years where, a book suddenly jumps off the shelf, your book, and so they feel they're meant to contact you. So I think it's all about why now?
Well, I think obviously if you feel why now, then I would always go with that feeling. And I can't answer your question. I mean, I can give you lots of instances. The instance where a couple lost their daughter, and they were moving house. This was a few months after they lost their daughter. They were moving house, and they went up into the attic. And as they were looking through the boxes in the attic, one of the boxes spilled and out tumbled not only a book of mine, but also a photograph of mine. It was actually an old newspaper cutting of mine that must have been at least 15 or 20, even 20 years old. And all of a sudden they remembered, wait a minute, we know this person. They found me. They actually came to Sarasota to an event I was presenting there. And they did receive a message from their daughter. And we became good friends, and they took me out to lunch a few times, which was also very nice. I mean, the spirit world has its ways and means. They give us signs, they give us clues, and sometimes perhaps it's that you just need something. You need someone to be aware of you right now, my darling. Perhaps it's just that you're feeling a bit lost at the moment, and we all know what that feels like, don't we? And maybe it's just you need confirmation. Who knows what it is? I can't help you with what it is. You should know within your own self. Why now? That is your question. Why now? Why now is because obviously those in the spirit world feel it's appropriate for you to discover this now. Chris.
Mary's saying the kids and I were roughing it at the beach yesterday, and an
Roughing it at the
adorable
beach.
and an adorable little dragonfly landed on my finger. I'm
Oh,
feeling it was my dad. What
yes.
is the symbolism for dragonflies?
Oh gosh. Well, okay. So the ancients, gosh, I love saying this. The ancients, the Native Americans, the grandfathers, uh, they always believed, as I do, and Grey Eagle has taught me this, that messages come from those tiny winged creatures, as they are called. Those tiny winged creatures, butterflies, dragonflies, even moths, you name it. Uh, Sometimes they come at us, from odd places. They appear as one did with you. Now, it isn't the birds, the tiny birds that come to us, or even the big birds that come to us. It isn't the birds that come to us with the message. It is that our loved ones in the spirit world will ask. This is what my understanding is of the Native American culture, the Native American belief, and what Grey Eagle has taught to me. So the spirit world will ask those tiny winged creatures, please, can you just take a message to my daughter in this case? Can you take a message to my son? Could you let my my mother know this or this? So very often our loved ones in the spirit world will whisper the message that they want to the tiny winged creatures who find their way to us and let us know we're here, because the message is a message of love. And often dragonflies are used for this, butterflies are used for this, um, birds are used for this. Yes, great. How thrilling. I love the fact that you said, Mary, we were roughing it at the beach. What does that mean? Anybody who loves the beach knows that, hey, you put your blanket down, you put your chair down, you got your food there or your drink there. In my case, we have a restaurant just, we can walk to from the beach. But I actually like to take my own food, because my own food I feel is better than the food you can get in the restaurant. I'll think about the next time that I go to the beach, my darling. I'm going to think, oh my goodness, I'm roughing it here at the beach. Why wouldn't anybody want to do that, Chris?
Tracy's saying, hi, Rosemary.
Hi,
What would it
darling.
mean if you saw a loved one in spirit in a dream covered in bandages?
Oh, well, I always tell you I'm not a dream expert. I'm asking Grey Eagle. So shrouded then more. So all right. So I think we have this one. I think that what you're being shown is not so much the bandages, but the fact that and this often is the case, that those in the spirit world will come and give us this message. Just because you can't see me, just because I'm shrouded, does not mean that I'm not here. So I think that you're being given that message. Look beyond the bandages, look beyond the shrouding, look beyond all of that. I think that's what you're being told. Just because you don't see me doesn't mean I'm not here. Grail has put his hand on my shoulder, so I think that's the message for you today. Chris.
Shamanth is saying, I'm from India. Have you ever been to India, the land of spirituality and occult sciences?
Oh my gosh. Well, there are a few lands of spirituality and occult sciences, but I love that. Do you know, Samantha, I've never actually been to India. I have been invited a few times to go to India, but for one reason or another, it has never worked out. I've been to so many countries around the world, and I would love to go to India. Um, if there's an invitation coming, let me know. Chris, would you like to go to India?
That would certainly be interesting. Let's go when it's not hot.
Oh, come on. It's always hot in India, I think. But no, I haven't been, but I do understand when we're talking earlier on about different countries and different types of energy. I think that, that I think that when I think about Egypt and I think about Australia and New Zealand, the Aboriginals. When I think about Scotland, if it comes to that, and Wales, let's not leave Wales out of the equation here. When I think about certain countries that have, let's say, a lot of poverty, and some of that poverty, we in our Western world can't even with poverty, we can't even imagine the poverty. I think along with poverty, along with pain, along with wars, along with strife, comes that incredible, incredible well of spirituality, because I think that is something that we need and we need to reach for. So, I think that is why there are certain countries who are much more of spirituality, because they're much more aware of pain and poverty and struggle. So I think the two sometimes go hand in hand. Chris.
Julie wants to know, can Gray Eagle see into the past? On story time, someone asked, does Gray Eagle know what the dark energy was at the disco or why it was there? I know you didn't know him then, but is it something he would know now or not necessarily? And
Oh
also,
yes.
thanks for being here when you're not feeling 100%.
Oh darling, thank you, you're welcome. Yes, I mean, okay, some of you have heard me talk about when I'm giving messages, or when I'm talking to people, and it happens whether it's in a in front of 2,000, 5,000, or even in front of one person. When I talk about going down and back and through the hole, when we go down and back, we're often going, not always, but we're often going back in time, back to a place where maybe somebody was involved in a tragic accident, and I can go back in time and stand and watch as if it is happening in real, what we call real time, which is real time, but in not 2 years ago or 5 years ago, or however long it was, but as if it is happening now. And I can literally stand, and I often find myself as a bystander watching in The Eagle and the Rose, and don't think I'm giving anything away. And it is, after all, we should talk about this every time. The Eagle and the Rose, this year is the 25th year of the first publication of The Eagle and the Rose. I know you don't think I'm old enough for that. I'm fully aware of what, but unfortunately, I'm old enough. Anyway, the first story in The Eagle and the Rose is about. I'm trying to think what I call him in the book, because that's not his real name. I think we call him Peter in the book, and his real name is Simon. I don't think I'm giving anything away now. I don't think it matters after 25 years, does it? But anyway, the story in that first story, you can see how easy it is for us to go back in time. It's also often the case that we can go forward in time. The difference, I think, the main difference between going back in time and going and looking to the future, going forward in time, is that going back in time, it has happened. Something has happened. You see it as it happened. Um, you can see it really, really clearly. There's absolutely no doubt about it. You can see it incredibly clearly. But you can't change what happened. When we look at the future, when we go into the future and see the future, sometimes you see it and it's completely clear, and you know that no matter what you're looking at, no matter how much you strive to change it, you know that you cannot change it. However, there are certain aspects of the future where, if you have a different attitude or a different, you make a different decision, um, it's not that you can necessarily change what's happening, but you can change the way you handle it, and you can change the way you deal with it. So you can make it better, or you can make it worse, depending on what it is we're talking about. But there are some things that are set in stone and we cannot change no matter what. Chris.
Sharon's asking, do you think I could ever be a healer? Just wondering about my purpose in life.
Sharon, I know that you already are. How do you develop it? What can you do with it? Well, we can talk about that, can't we? Yes, Sharon, no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. You are just such a lovely person. By the way, healers don't have to be perfect, just so you know. Healers don't have to be, we're not talking Mother Teresa, perfect. And actually, when you read her biography, she was nowhere near perfect, was she? But anyway, a healer does not have to be that person who has wonderful and good thoughts all the time. A healer just has to have good intention and the ability to want to develop that energy. And Sharon, I know that you can do it, absolutely. Chris.
Cheryl's saying, when I was younger, we used a Ouija board and felt darkness near me afterwards. Plugs falling out of the wall sockets. Was darkness allowed in that way?
Well, I'm always very cautious about Ouija boards. Even people who do tarot cards who don't know what they're doing, but they think it's oh, let's do this. It's a bit of fun. Every time, whatever it is that you do, whether you use tarot cards, a Ouija board, runes, whatever it is, when you're connecting with the spirit world, you need to be very aware that what you're doing is you're opening yourself up. You are allowing the spirit world to come in. You're allowing them to connect with you. You are drawing them. When you're opening yourself up to them, you're opening the door. It's like, if I see somebody on the street, if I see a total stranger on the street, I open the door and I say, come on in. Why would I do that with a total stranger? Why would I? Because am I asking for trouble? Of course I am. 9 times out of 10, that total stranger might be a perfectly ordinary, nice person. That one time in 10 might not be the case, might it? So every time you, and especially with the Ouija board, because people do get, sort of, it's a whole group together. So you've got a whole lot of energy. You're talking about everybody's energy opening up, and you're opening up to whatever is out there. And please remember, you wouldn't open your front door and let just anybody in, would you? When you're doing the Ouija board, you're actually letting anybody in who wants to come in, good and bad. So there are certain things, if you must use the Ouija board, if you must play around with these things, there are certain things that you do to make sure that you are kept safe. For instance, I could do the Ouija board because I know that I've got Gravel right there with me, sword in hand, saying, okay, nobody's getting in here unless we want them to. So you make sure that I'm not even going to encourage anybody to do it. So I'm going to say, stay away from it. Because you're just opening yourself up to things that are unknown and unseen. And, you wouldn't willingly invite a burglar or a murderer into your home, would you? You wouldn't open the door and say, hey, come on, everybody, let's have a party. You wouldn't do that, would you? So that's what you're doing when you're playing around with these tarot cards, with the Ouija board. I'm trying to think what else. So many different ways that people use to connect with the spirit world. Don't do it. If you're just mucking about with it, don't do it. People always used to say to me, you shouldn't dabble in this. Well, I don't dabble in it. I work at it. It is my work. I pay attention to it. It's something I do 24/7. I don't dabble. So I'm saying to all of you, please don't dabble. Don't think it's a bit of fun that you can just get away with, because the consequences can be quite dire. Chris.
I want to thank everyone who's using the hashtag Rosemary Altea as they're putting their questions in the chat room, which is Barb. And Barb's also asking, so when spirits come and talk with you, are they always truthful when you ask them questions?
Yes. If we're talking about, sorry, I kicked the camera. Sorry. If we're talking about people who come to me, I'm only speaking about me now. I'm only speaking about my connection with the spirit world. One of the joys, one of the wonderful things about having a spirit guide, one of the wonderful things about having Grey Eagle is that he is, let's say he is the doorkeeper. You might understand it better if I say that to you. He is the doorkeeper. Remember, the spirit world sees all. So if somebody comes to talk to us who thinks that they can lie about something, well, they got another thing coming, because, hey, they're not even going to be allowed in here, because those around them will know that that's not the truth and will tell me so. This is the difference between channeling and having a conversation with someone. So, when someone comes to connect with me, even if I only can see that one person, if he's going to stand and lie to me and tell me lies about different things, Grey Eagle's he's going to say to me, well, we're not having any of that, because that's not true. So why would they? So certainly not with me.
Sharon
Yes.
says, I had a dream a few months ago where my mom was showing me this beautiful house. It was pretty breathtaking. Do our loved ones who live in the spirit world reside in houses just as we do on Earth?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. They have different places that they can go to. It's not quite as simple as that, but if she's showing you a house, it's not so much a house of bricks and a mortar. It's a house where people go, it's a house where people gather, and the beauty of the house and the beauty of the feeling or the sense of it is she's giving you that so that you can relate to what it is that she's saying to you. But if she's showing you a place where it's beautiful, it's because the people are beautiful, the surroundings are beautiful, the energy is beautiful, which I really love. Chris.
The name Loves Animals, Hates Rats is saying, hello, Rosemary. I'm a big fan.
Hello.
Can you tell me where my chronic, terrifying sleep paralysis comes from? A demon tries to steal my soul every night.
No. We can't have that. We can't have that. So first of all, the thing we're going to do first of all with you is, if we may, we're going to put you in our healing book. So Chris, if you could manage to do that. The second thing is, boy, oh boy, this is a person who really needs the bottom brick. What do you think?
Bottom brick would be an awesome thing.
Yeah. So if you don't know about that, my lovely, check that out. Go to go to YouTube, go to the website, find out. You can see on the website how many people we've had. Some lovely volunteers doing the bottom brick exercise, and we did have. It must be out, right, Chris? I'm sure you've put it out there. The second part of the bottom brickers,
Yes.
the 3 bottom brickers that we did. The 4th one, who is Carol, we didn't manage to. She couldn't make it. But have you put that out yet?
Yes, it's up on YouTube.
So it's up on YouTube. So go to the bottom brick exercise, my love, and see if you'd like to be a candidate for that. But no, we're not having demons who are stealing your soul. No. Grey Eagle and I are going to deal with that. That will never happen to you. Ever, ever, ever. Never. Chris.
Carol's saying, thank you for your prayers and blessings to you. She's up on our healing list. Julie says, when I went to Brazil, before I went, I bought a book called The Black Butterfly by Richard Moss. It was amazing, as a huge black butterfly flew into the pousada as I was getting food.
Ooh.
It landed on my back. Fantastic.
Oh, wow, fantastic. That really is an example of the spirit world in play there. Those tiny winged creatures doing their job for us. Isn't that fantastic? Can you make a note of that book, Chris? I'd like to read that book. The Black Butterfly.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Tracy saying thank you to Rosemary and Grey Eagle. Fernanda is asking, I really would like to ask Gray Eagle, what is my purpose in life? I feel so lost sometimes.
Well, today is not going to be the day that we can necessarily help you. You might want to consider having a consultation. You might want to consider, maybe there's someone in your area that you'd like to go and see. I'm always cautious. I can't recommend anyone to you, but, you might want to think about that. Having some sort of a live consultation so that, somebody can help you to decide what it is that you are capable of doing, what it is that you should put your energy into.
Mary's Mary's asking for a message, so unfortunately Mary's going to have to wait or have a consultation. Shamantha is asking, what is the difference between fairies and angels and archangels?
Oh my gosh. Fairies, are there such things as fairies? Is there such a thing as magic? Well, my 8-year-old grandson believes so. That's because I've taught him to believe. I do think there is much more on heaven and earth than we give credit for. I do think that fairies are possibly do exist. My daughter once held a fairy in her hand, and my father, who was with her at the time, saw it, and no doubt in their minds that fairies exist. But we could say that fairies are part of our imagination, or certainly part of this earth of ours. Let's put it that way. Our angels are those incredible, beautiful, special beings. They are messengers of God, for God, working only with God. They are spiritual beings who work in the light, for the light. And I don't quite know what the difference between an angel and an archangel is. Of course, there are also earth angels. Let's not forget them. Angels who are sent to this earth to give us an experience, to have an experience for their own selves, but to give us, those of us who are around them, who are lucky enough to be around them or have a connection to them, those earth angels of ours are just amazing also. But angels is a huge, huge topic. We did actually do a workshop in December, just this last December, 6 months ago. If any of you wants to know more about that, we are trying to get those workshops and those webinars out so that people can actually get them and see them. So if you're interested in doing something like that, keep watching the website, because once we know what it is that we're doing and we're able to share them with people, we will let you know. So keep checking with us on our web page, rosemaryaltea.com. Chris.
All right, Rosemary, you get about 3 minutes till the top of the hour. The question from Julie is, please explain dementia as a spiritual path.
Well, there are lots of things that people go through, health issues of different kinds. I've spoken to quite a few people who've had dementia in different stages of dementia. And, when I talk to people, I not only talk to them, I talk to their soul. I can connect with their spirit. I can connect with the light of their soul, with their aura and so on. And so I don't find it so difficult to talk to people who have dementia. And they seem to know that I can recognize them. But I think that, it's something that happens on a physical level to the brain. But as with everything that happens to us physically, there are those incredible moments of spirituality. And I think that one of the ways that we learn, and one of the ways that we connect more and more and more with our soul, with our spiritual self, is through the aches and the pains and the difficulties of our physical selves. I talked earlier on about, the different countries that experience extreme poverty and brutality, and they reach into their spiritual nature. They reach for it because it is the only thing that can sustain them very often in their lives, is to hold on to that spiritual side of themselves. Dementia, I think, is that also. As we lose our way, let's say, in this world, we are reaching for that journey. We're reaching for that way of our spirit, of our soul. And I know that so many people who have dementia, they seem to be, let's say, struggling. Sometimes they seem to be passive. All of them are on a spiritual journey. So again, just because we can't see, or we don't know, or we don't understand something, doesn't mean that, because we can't, just because we can't connect with the spirit world necessarily or see them, doesn't mean that it's not there. When we look at each other, we may not see each other's soul shining brightly. Well, if you look in somebody's eyes, you might see a glimmer of that incredible and beautiful soul. But just because we don't see it doesn't mean that it's there. And I think people who have dementia are moving slowly out of this physical world and into that more spiritual journey that they're having. And when I've spoken to people who have dementia, it's remarkable to see. Beautiful
All
to
right.
see.
You're right at time, Rosemary.
And I think that that's it for today. I know that Chris has got her animals to go and feed and milk the pigs, or whatever it is you're going to be doing, Chris. And I know that it's time for another little pill for me. So thank you all so very, very much for joining us today. You've had some great questions for us, and I really enjoyed answering and connecting with you all. So thank you so much. We will be doing some off the cuff stuff. I will actually be traveling tomorrow. I'm going to New York. I'm going to dose myself up quite a bit, but I'm going to New York to see my grandson. I can't wait. Now, my daughter gets a bit upset when I say just to see my grandson. So I'm going to see my daughter and my grandson tomorrow. I can't wait to have their arms around me because, no matter how many times you talk to people on Facebook, it's not quite the same, is it, as physically being able to grab hold of each other. So from now on, we'll be working from New York for the next month or two. Fortunately, I have someone who comes and lives in my house and takes care of all my stuff in my house. Isn't that nice? So I shall be in New York City, and we'll be working out of New York City. Chris will be back on Saturday, I think.
I also travel tomorrow.
Yeah, so we're both on planes tomorrow, so we'll be traveling tomorrow, so you won't hear from us probably tomorrow, but we will be back on Saturday morning for our story time, and I shall be from New York and Chris will be from Vermont, and we shall be doing our story time. We'll be having fun on story time, and don't forget, we'll be doing more off the cuff stuff too, and lots of other things coming up for us. So in the meantime, until I see you on maybe on Saturday, or until the next time I do see you, please, all of you out there, thank you so much to Great Eagle, as always. Thank you, Chris, always, and thank you to all of you. Please, everyone, have a very blessed rest of the day, and have a very blessed rest of the week, everybody. Bye-bye.